Are you looking for inspiration on a daily basis? Well, check out Deal to Heal Tees. With our inspirational tees, you're sure to find something that will inspire you. Just go to dealtohealtees.myshopify.com. That's Deal to Heal Tees. Get some inspiration in your situation. Wear inspirational tee and be inspired all day. That's Deal to Heal Tees at dealtohealtees.myshopify.com. Hi guys, if you're enjoying this podcast, then I know you'll enjoy the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. I'm your host, Earnest James. And on my podcast, my guests and I discuss topics and ways to help us to heal in every area of our lives. I believe that everyone can and should live a life that is whole, healed, and healthy. And therefore, I'm on a mission to help people to deal, heal, and fulfill, to deal with their problems, heal from the pain, and to fulfill their purpose. So check out our podcast. We're on Google Podcasts, Spotify, or even on Audible. And if you want to watch the podcast, check us out on our YouTube channel at Deal to Heal with E. James Podcast. Until then, see you soon. Welcome to the Girl Dad Discussions podcast with E. James. We believe that the relationship between a dad and daughter is one of the most important relationships in a woman's life. Our mission is to promote the daddy-daughter relationship by spreading the voices of girl dads to the world and give love and support to all of our dads and their daughters. Let's get to it. Let's tune in. Hey, welcome to the Girl Dad Discussions podcast. I am your host, Earnest James, and we believe that the relationship between a father and daughter is one of the most important relationships that in a woman's life. And therefore, our mission is to promote the daddy-daughter relationship by spreading the voices of girl dads and daughters to the world and give love and support to all of our girls, to all of our daughters and their dads. Thank you guys very much for tuning in to the Girl Dad Discussions podcast. Make sure that you guys are checking us out on our new YouTube channel, which is the Deal to Heal Podcasting Network. As you guys know, our partner podcast, which is the Girl Dad Discussions podcast, was our first podcast, but now we've added on more podcasts. So we changed our YouTube page from the Deal to Heal Podcasting podcast and to the Deal to Heal Podcasting Network. So make sure you guys go there and check us out. Also, again, thank you guys for tuning in. We'll also be able to find our playlist there for the Girl Dad Discussions podcast there. So make sure you guys go there, like it, subscribe it, share it, as well as not just the YouTube page, but also on all of your podcast listening platforms. Make sure that you guys do that. Our product of the week, as you guys know, we are a self-sustained podcast. And the way that we stay on the air is by bringing you amazing products for you to purchase in order for us to help to pay our bills. So thank you guys so very much. Our product of the week is our Purpose Journal as well as our Purpose Planner, because I believe we need to journal to keep track of the places that we've been in our lives and where we are, as well as planning for our future. So make sure you guys get that. Our Purpose Journal and our Purpose Planner. The links will be in the description. They're both available on Amazon at this time. So we'll make sure that you guys have the opportunity to check that out. So we're going to jump right in it. Today, just like any other day, we are blessed with a guest, Miss Brittney. How you doing?
I'm doing good, Ernest. How are you?
I am good. First of all, let me say thank you for being here, because you could have been doing anything else with anyone else, but you're here with us and we definitely appreciate it and want you to know that. So we're going to jump right in this, because this is going to be a little different than usual, because generally on the Girl Dad Discussions podcast, we have other girl dads on, and so we're having a conversation with other girl dads. We also have had the opportunity to have several daughters on to talk about the relationship with the girl with their dads also. But your story is a little different, right? And it's coming from a different point of view. But I
Yeah,
think it's still very important for us to hear it. So let's just go back to the beginning. And so do me a favor, introduce yourself to my audience and tell us who you are and a little bit about what you do, and then we'll jump right into your story.
absolutely, everybody. My name is Brittney Hubbard. I am a wife. Me and my husband have been married for 8 years. I have three beautiful kids, 11, 10, and 4 years old. And right now, what I currently do right now is I am actually a graphic designer. I am a graphic designer. I am a author, of course, and I'm also a an entrepreneur.
All right, all the boxes. You're just checking all the boxes.
All the boxes, yeah.
You and me too. You and me too. So let's jump into your story a little bit,
Absolutely.
Brittany, because again, you do have a different story than my regular guest, and
Yes.
so I won't even begin to even try to tell it. I'm going to turn it right back over to you, and then let's just jump right into it.
Yeah, most definitely. So, wow. My like I say, like you said, my story is a little bit different. I grew up basically without my father. I've always had that, desire, like growing up, I've had that desire wanting to have a father around. So I always had that desire to be even a girl dad. Every time I would go to school and I will see see the girls at school, with their dad or their dad, they're dropping them off. And I even experienced, even in my own household, because with me and my siblings, they have different fathers, but I always experienced them going with their fathers. But my dad was basically the only dad that never came around. I never gotten a chance to really sit down and experience that, that girl dad, conversations, having the father sitting down and telling me, things that a little girl should hear from their fathers. I didn't get a chance to experience that. And sadly, my experience with my father, the last time I had an experience with my father, and it wasn't a good one, it was when I was 8 years old. I ended up going to Waco, Texas, because that's where they're from. I went to go visit my father's side of the family. My grandparents on that side wanted me to come and visit them for the summer for a little bit. And it was supposed to be, I think, maybe like a 2 week trip, and it ended up really turning into literally like 3 days. Um,
Mm.
I end up going there, sitting down with my grandmother, and I remember my father actually walking in the front door, and I don't believe that he knew I was coming or that I was visiting or anything like that. Um, so when he walked through the front door, all I remember was I ran up because my grandmother had pointed out and said, "Hey, Brittany, there's your dad." And me being excited, and I was like, oh, okay, hi, daddy. I'm running up to him and I give him a big hug, and my arms wrap around his legs, and
Mm.
all I remember is him looking down at me, and he didn't hug me back. So so from there, I was just like, okay, what do I do? So I just stopped hugging him and I just ran back to the couch, and that's all I remember, of him. So that's just pretty much the memory that I had of my father. There's been numerous amount of times that I've been trying to reach out. I'll reach out, to other family members that's been on Facebook, that's on his side of the family. There's some people that, that don't know where he is. There's some people that talk to him, but of course, like I said, I just never had any luck when it comes to trying to talk to my dad, or even just having just a conversation with him to say, hey, dad, I know you haven't been around. I know you haven't been in my life, but, I just wanted to let him know, hey, that I do forgive you for, all the stuff, that, but basically just for not being around, you
Mhm.
know, yeah, just for not being around, because I experienced a lot of things that I felt like if my father was there, you know, um,
Yeah.
I really do feel like a lot of the stuff wouldn't have happened if he was there.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and that's a common feeling, and justifiably so, because it is a true feeling that a lot of things, we as fathers are supposed to be the protectors of our families, including our sons and our daughters, and when we are not in the right space, there are some things that are experienced, by our children, that they shouldn't have to experience, and probably
Right.
wouldn't have to experience had we been in our proper space. And so I remember even myself having this conversation, with another young lady who I've been on her podcast, several. Well, she's been on my podcast, this one and my other podcast. She was my first guest, my very first guest on my other podcast, and then she was the first female guest on this podcast. And
Mhm.
her name is Jana, and because our stories is like me and hers is like the opposite.
Yeah.
I'm a girl dad who talks to fatherless daughters. She's a fatherless daughter who coaches fathers, right? About their
Wow.
reconnecting with their daughters. But I remember us even having the conversation, about talking to dads and getting them to realize that, you know, there are some things that your child experienced in your absence, and you cannot neglect their emotions and their experiences, with you not being there just because now you decided to show up. There are some things that they've experienced. There are some feelings that they hold, maybe some resentment that they hold that is justifiable.
Right.
And just because you decided to show up today, don't mean that erases all the experiences that they've had and to that point. And so that's a conversation that we've had with dads. But before we dive a little bit more into that, I want to go back to something that you said, because it was sort of like a reflection of my story, but on the other side of it, right? So you mentioned about growing up and seeing your friends and others